Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, Restaurant Recipe Recreations. And if this is your first time joining us, then welcome. This channel is dedicated in teaching you how to create your favorite signature dishes from the most popular restaurants. And I'm really excited about this episode because in this episode, I'm going to be teaching you how to create CARRABBA'S mussels. This episode is really kind of special to me because, in all honesty, the CARRABBA'S mussels were, I think, probably the inspiration for this entire channel. When I think of CARRABBA'S, I think of mussels. And when I think of mussels, I think of CARRABBA'S. And it got me thinking that what other restaurants and dishes are so popular that people go to that restaurant specifically for that dish? And what if people could recreate that in their own home and in their own kitchen? And in all honesty, if you are enjoying this channel, then we can thank the CARRABBA'S mussels for the channel. And if you're not enjoying the channel, then we'll just go ahead and blame the CARRABBA'S mussels on it. I would like to ask that if you are enjoying this channel, which of course you are, right? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and while you're at it, you can hit the like button. I know that there are a lot of options out there and a lot of things that you could be watching, a lot of things you could be doing with your time. And if you're taking your precious time and spending it with me and learning how to create dishes from your favorite restaurants in your own home and in your own kitchen, it really does mean a lot to me. So thank you. And if you hit the notification button, you can also be notified of my upcoming episodes as well. If you have something specific that you would like me to feature in an upcoming video, then by all means, please write it in the comments section. I'd love to present one of your requests in an upcoming video. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and that way you'll know of my upcoming episodes as well. So let's go ahead and we're gonna get started making the CARRABBA'S mussels, which is the dish that's responsible for all of this. All right, let's get started. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a different style. I'm kind of playing around at this point with different camera angles and different ideas that I have for the overall look of this channel. Normally I go to what's called the hands and pans, which is where I just focus down on the actual production of the dish. But I think in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and stay on camera and we're gonna create this dish together, you and I. All right, so let's get started. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the star of the show, which are obviously the mussels. I have here 2 pounds of Prince Edward Island mussels. They're also known as PEI mussels, Prince Edward Island mussels. They're pretty common. You can find them in just about every grocery store. What we need to do here is we need to make sure, now these are live mussels of course, that I have already cleaned, but we need to make sure that all of them are alive. And by that, I mean they need to be alive before you start the cooking process. They need to be closed. You'd have to pick through and make sure that they are all closed, completely closed. Some of them get a little bit tricky and they'll open just a little bit, but then when you touch them, they sort of close back up together. I guess they just get scared and they just sort of close back up. Those are okay because those are still alive, but I can see one here where it is not closed at all and it's not closing. We need to discard that. Shellfish of any kind is a very tricky thing and you need to make sure that it is in a live state before the cooking process because that's just the nature of shellfish. So we're gonna go ahead and sift through all of these to make sure that they are in fact alive. Sometimes mussels have what's called like a beard and they're like these little fuzzy things that you want to take off. You just go ahead and pinch those off, discard them. You want to start with a very large pan. This is one of my most favorite saute pans. I just love it. And it's got a lid on it because we're going to kind of steam these. So you want to get something, a big pot or a pan, something that has a tight fitting lid. And we're going to go ahead and use that. So I've got this on a very low heat. I would say that it's like medium or maybe even a little bit less for the heat on this. We're gonna let this come up to a temperature. You just go ahead and hold your hand over it. See if you can feel the heat radiating off of it. And because it's low, that's not gonna be really hot, but you'll know if your pan's hot enough. The first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add a nice extra virgin olive oil. I would say about 3 tablespoons. So I have here just a chopped yellow onion. It's about a half of a chopped yellow onion and 3 cloves of minced garlic. Or grated, however you like to do it. I actually prefer to grate my garlic. So 1/2 a chopped yellow onion. Next we're going to add the 3 cloves of minced garlic. Move them around in the pan so that they don't get too much color on them. You want them to just be a nice translucent color. Although I don't really think translucent is a color. Could be, I don't know. Some of these are sneaky little buggers because I can see, I know that I've already picked through them and I know that they're all good. But then they open up a little teeny tiny bit and then when you grab them, they close real fast. They're like, no, don't throw me in that pan. Okay, now that the onion and the garlic is nice and perfectly translucent, we're going to go ahead and add a half of a cup of dry white wine. Let that wine cook down just a little bit, about 20-30 seconds, and now we're gonna add the fun. We're gonna add the mussels. And then we're gonna throw a lid on it so that they actually steam. Once they start to open up, once everyone opens up, then you know that they're ready. So we're going to take them out at that point, and we're gonna set them off to the side, and then we're gonna finish the butter sauce. These look awesome. They're starting to all open up, but we're gonna let them go about another, I would say about another minute. Once you can see that they've all been opened up, that means that they're ready. So we're gonna use a slotted spoon and we're gonna take these out and off the heat. That is such a fun sound. That clacking of the shells, I just love it. So what we have left in here is obviously the white wine, the onion and the garlic are still in here for the most part. Also the liquor from the mussels. But speaking of liquor, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of Pernod. If you can't find Pernod, you can use anisette, but you can find Pernod. It's spelled P-E-R-N-O-D, and you can find it in most liquor stores. But it has a very, very unique flavor. It's like a black licorice flavor. That's what really gives these mussels that very unique flavor, is that Pernod. Again, if you can't find Pernod, go ahead and use... I had my pantry door open. There's a mess in there. I hope you didn't notice that. Again, if you can't find Pernod, then go ahead and use anisette, which is basically the same thing. Now we're going to add the juice of 1 whole lemon, which comes out to be about 3 tablespoons. And we're going to let this reduce by half. And we're going to give it some time. It's just going to kind of sit here. In the meantime, we've got our mussels off to the side. They're just kind of hanging out, waiting for us to come back and finish them. And let's just let this simmer and reduce and get that nice, really, really rich flavor before we add the butter. Okay, this has been allowed to simmer and reduce for about 5 minutes or so. And you can see that it's starting to get like nice and thick, and that's obviously what you're looking for. So now that this is reduced to where I want it to be, we're gonna go ahead and add the butter. And it's an entire stick of unsalted butter, but I've got it cut into 8 equal parts because we're going to add it 1 little piece at a time so that we can continue to stir and that the butter doesn't break. So with my heat on quite low, actually it's about at the lowest setting, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of butter at a time. And we're gonna whisk it into this white wine and Pernod reduction. This is like one of the most important aspects of the dish, so take your time with it. At the same time that I'm showing you how to do CARRABBA'S mussels, I'm also filming my Roy's Restaurant braised short ribs of beef. So I gotta tell you, my kitchen right now, it's like mad with unbelievable smells. Multitasking. So check out my episode on the Roy's Restaurant braised short ribs of beef. You'll notice that I'm wearing the same shirt and my hair is exactly the same way because I'm doing both tapings at once. Well, I mean, not at once, you know what I'm saying. So that was my last and 8th tablespoon of butter. We've done a really great job here because nothing is broken, it's emulsifying. We're still gonna let this reduce even a little bit further before we add the mussels back in and the basil, some cracked black pepper. So while this is continuing to reduce, I'm gonna go ahead and add some cracked black pepper. The emulsification of the butter and also the reduction of the sauce itself is what gives it that body. If you've ever had the CARRABBA'S mussels before, you know that the sauce is kind of thick. And it's not because they use a thickener, it's because, as I said, they use probably like a mother sauce, and then they let it reduce, and they have that sort of clarified or emulsified butter in the dish, and that's what gives it sort of that hefty body. What I like to do is always taste everything before you salt it. My theory is that once the salt is in there, if it's too much, you can't take it out, but you can always add more if you need it, of course. Oh my gosh. That is just about perfection. I am gonna add some salt, 2 pinches of salt, and now we're literally gonna finish this. All we're gonna do is we're gonna put the mussels back in with the basil, and it's done. Put your mussels back in. We're gonna add 3 tablespoons of fresh julienne basil. Basil and Pernod are very closely related in flavor. They both kind of have that licoricey flavor to them. So that's why the basil goes so well in this dish. And you just want to make sure that you get a really nice mix so that none of the mussels are missing out on this sauce. A couple of different ways that you can serve this. You can serve it just as an appetizer, just as is, like they do at CARRABBA'S. But also you could serve this amazing mussels with this white wine butter sauce over pasta. And you'll just toss that all together, serve the mussels on top like you would like a linguine and clams. You could do linguine and mussels. I also have an episode on the CARRABBA'S bread dip, which is the seasoning that they serve at the beginning of the meal. So go ahead and check that out. Between this and the CARRABBA'S bread dip, you're gonna feel like you're having dinner at CARRABBA'S, but you're in your own home, in your own kitchen, which is the point of this whole channel, right? There you have it. Notice anything different? Well, I figured since I was doing 2 episodes in one day, I thought maybe I would try to mix it up a little bit. And since Breaking Bad is literally one of the best shows that's ever been on television, I thought I'd have a little bit of fun with you. So speaking of fun, how fun are these? And how fun was this episode, right? Again, this was the episode that's like created this whole vision for me. And let's just say that I hope it's worth it. But I can tell you that it was definitely worth it to me because I'm having a blast doing what I'm doing. Another fun thing is I can show you how to eat mussels. A dear friend of mine taught me this fun way to eat mussels when I was in Germany. You take an empty shell, so one that you've already taken the mussel out of, then you take a mussel that has the mussel in it, and you use the shell to sort of pinch the mussel out, and then eat it that way. Delicious. These are carrabbas, that's for sure. Anyways, I had a lot of fun with this. I hope that you had a lot of fun with this. I drop 2 episodes a week, so I will see you again very, very soon. Until then, have an awesome day, and thank you all for watching. Love y'all. Cheers.